Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the committee meetings of the State Board of Education here in Atlanta. It's June 12th. I've been out of the country last week, so I'm still playing catch up, but thank those of you who are here in person and also those of you who are joining us virtually. Board members and also other attendees who are online, let me please remind you to stay on mute during the conversations, but certainly I'll make sure, and I know that others here at the table will remind me, that if you have a question, we've reorganized our screens a little bit so that those of you who are joining us virtually, we can see you much more easily. So if I don't call on you, or if you have a question, either wave or log in, but I'll try to remember to make sure that everybody has the chance to comment. We're going to start today's meeting with the Budget Committee. And since Mr. Ellis is joining us virtually today and Mr. Benton is not with us, I'm going to ask former State Board Chair, Mr. Jason Downey, to kind of keep us moving through today's meeting. Mr. Downey, the committee meeting is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a rather lengthy Budget Committee agenda this month, so we'll get started with item number 1.
All right, this is our Certiport contract. The purpose of this contract is to provide certification exams for Microsoft Office specialists and information technology specialists, certifications in up to 540 Georgia high schools. The total contract is not to exceed $1,274,595.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Any questions from those joining us virtually?
Is there any objection to putting this on the consent agenda? All right, move that. Number 2.
All right, item 2 is a contract renewal for FY25 Career Technical and Ag Ed Resource Network, or CTERN. The purpose of this contract is to provide professional development and resources to support local CTAE programs. The total contract is not to exceed $1,666,106.
Questions, comments, concerns from here or online? Any objection to moving to the consent agenda? We'll move that. Number 3.
Item 3 is our FY25 Agricultural Education State Grants. The purpose of this grant is to provide funds appropriated by the General Assembly for the enrichment and educational experiences of the integral agricultural education programs through the local school system. The total grant amount is not to exceed $14,301,427.
Questions, comments, concerns from here or online? Any objection to moving this to consent? All right, we'll move that. Number 4.
All right, item 4 is our grant for FY25 construction-related equipment grants for CTAE. The purpose of these grants is to provide supplemental financial support for the key career and technical area of construction-related equipment for use in new or newly modified CTAE lab facilities. The total contract is not to exceed $4,825,150.
Questions, comments, concerns, anyone here or online? Any objections to moving this to consent? All right, it's moved. Number 5.
All right, item 5 is our FY25 Federal High School Program Grants for CTAE. The purpose of this grant is to support workforce readiness skills, curriculum development and revision, and resources for all career pathways. The total grant amount is not to exceed $22,009,355.
Questions, comments, concerns from anyone here or online? Any objection to moving to consent? It will be moved. Number 6.
Item 6 is our FY25 State High School Program Grants for CTAE. These grants support workforce readiness skills, curriculum development and revision, and resources for all career pathways. This total grant amount is $18,802,877.
Questions, comments, concerns from anyone here or online? Any objection to moving to consent? All right, it is moved. Number 7.
Item 7 is our FY25 Georgia Parent Mentor Partnership. The purpose of this grant is to assist LEAs with fiscal resources to hire parent mentors to help build effective school, family, and community partnerships for improved outcomes. The total grant amount is not to exceed $1,968,800.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Anyone
Yeah,
here?
quite, yeah, on this one's new. I don't know that I've ever seen this one. How's this one gonna be implemented? I mean, I see the allocations are what, 18,400, and some get 2. How's this process gonna work? I mean, it's a great concept.
John, I think John's online.
Yeah, hey everybody, John White with Federal Programs. This grant has been around for a while. It's a parent-mentor partnership grant, and LEAs applied for this in order to support that communication for special education students, to engage parents, and to support parents' development. So it's not new. It has been around for several years.
Okay, I just don't remember seeing it in this form. Okay, so I guess then the LEAs, the districts interview and hire a mentor and out of
Yes, yes, they do. Yes, they do. And the allocation is based on the number of mentors that they're hiring. So yes, and then we also connect with them during the year through our IDA team to work with parents and to support them.
Thank you.
And for those that have 2 allocations, is that primarily based on enrollment numbers? Because it seems like it's larger systems.
Yes, it is. It is. The larger systems have ability to have more.
And is there flexibility about the, how these how these staff people are gonna be used? Or do they gonna divide them up between high school and elementary school? Or is it within the district, is it maybe geographically, or do they have that ultimate flexibility on how they wanna implement them?
Yes, they have that ultimate flexibility on how they're going to implement that based on their needs and based on where their students are located.
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? Ms. Rice?
I've got a question. There are 97 LEAs that are in this mentor program. Is that correct?
Yes, for this coming year. Yes.
Okay, so give me an example of how the mentor works with the student, the parent mentor. What are some of the things that they would do that you've seen? Maybe the top 3 or 4 things that stand out within each of these LEAs that they do to support that student. And
Yes, some of the things that we'll see them do is just coordinating with the parents so they understand the IEP process, so they understand what a meeting might be like, so they understand if they are going to request another meeting. This is the process to follow. It's just really because we want them to have all the benefits of IDA that they can. So they're really, it's not like there's a prescription to follow. They're really trying to target the parents' needs so they can be active participants, if that helps.
That does. And also with the handbook the dyslexia handbook that had some things in there about IDEA and is that ready to pay? Do y'all use that as a reference?
That I'll have to get back to you on that one. I'm not exactly sure, but I would like to say yes, but I'd like to say it with confirmation before I do that.
Okay. Would you get back with me on that?
Yeah, we will.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get with Sean and we'll get back with you.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. Anything further from online? Any other questions here? Any objection moving this to consent? Hearing none, move, and we'll go to number 8.
All right, item 8 is our FY25 Georgia Network of Educational and Therapeutic Support, or GNETS allocations. The purpose of this grant is to assist the 24 GNETS programs with meeting the needs of students with disabilities as determined by their IEPs, assist students with transitioning to less restrictive environments, and improve students' academic outcomes and behavioral skills. The total grant is not to exceed $55,355,261.
Questions, comments, concerns from anyone here?
Russ, you may or may not know this, but is this allocation similar to years past, or is it has it been increasing?
I believe the actual amount is decreased this year,
Yeah.
Based on enrollment.
Oh, just based on enrollment?
Yes, I don't think the amount was decreased by the legislature, but my budget team here. I'm pretty sure the enrollment was down in
It's a
GNETs.
critically important program that needs to be well funded.
Yes, Russ, it is a decrease in the GNET's allocation. There is a decrease of students this year.
Thank you.
Follow up, any further questions, comments, concerns? Ms. Rice?
Is this decrease come about because of some of the districts have reorganized the GNETs? How they're going to work them in the next few years, or is that?
I don't know if John, you know that, but
I'm pretty sure this is not related to that, but again, let me confirm that for you, Ms. Rice, and we'll just let you know.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. Anything further? Is there any objection to putting this on consent agenda? Hearing none, it will be moved. And number 9.
All right, number 9 is a grant for Individuals with Disability Education Act Capacity Building Grant. Purpose of this grant is to support local educational agencies and GNETs in their efforts to increase the capacity of staff to work with students with disabilities. The total grant amount is not to exceed $8,030,886.
Questions, comments, concerns? Right? Anyone here? Anyone online? Any questions, comments, concerns? Any objection to moving this to consent? Hearing none, it will be moved. Number 10.
Item 10 is a grant amendment for our FY24 high-cost grant for special education. These grants will partially reimburse LEAs for the cost incurred for students whose IEPs require extensive and expensive direct instructional and related services that exceed $27,000 per student. The amount of the amendment is $904,597, and the total grant amount is not to exceed $5,904,592.
Questions, comments, concerns from anyone here? Anyone online have any questions, comments, concerns? Ms. Rice?
I've got another one. So is there a follow-up with this with the students? How do we follow up on what is being done with the extra resources that are needed for each student regarding their IEP? How is that followed up?
Are you asking about how we at the state, we're just making sure that the district is providing the support, because this is just a reimbursement grant to the district for them, for the cost that they have for supporting students. Is that what you're asking?
I am.
Yeah, and Melissa Roberts, if you're in the room, if you want to address that, because that might be a specific example you know about.
Yeah, so it's a part of our cross-functional monitoring process. So that's, so we ensure that the supports and services for students with disabilities are according to their IEP through the cross-functional monitoring process that we have each year for our LEAs. So that's how we follow up on those supports and services.
Any follow-up from online or in person? Any objection to moving this to consent agenda? Hearing none, it will be moved. And number 11.
All right, number 11 is our 5-year local facilities plans. OCGA 20-2-260C2 requires that the State Board of Education approve all 5-year local facility plans for local school systems to be able to participate in the state capital outlay program. And this is the last one for this year.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So, Mr. Rome, with regard to these 5-year facility plans, you know, they're forecasting obviously what they're going to be doing in the future, and I mean, I know some of this is aligned with what their SPLOST, education SPLOST numbers would be. What type of accountability measures are in there to see that somebody's following these plans?
Yeah, but is Mike, are you on here?
Yes, sir. I'm here, Russ. So the obviously their board of education has to approve their plan, has to approve the priority order of their what they have in their plan, of their needs. And then as far as with us, our consultants meet with them constantly as far as making application for those projects. And so, and we work on a reimbursement is how they they earn their money. So they have to spend the money first, then we reimburse. And there's a whole process to go along with that to be sure that they're expending the dollars the way that they're supposed to be expending. And so before they can make application, there's a pretty detailed process of what they have to do in order to get that money.
And I think the critical part of that for, people to really understand, I think the board members do, but the general public, is these outlay programs are sort of reimbursement program. They're spending
Yes.
money first before they can actually apply for the funding.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Any follow-up?
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments, concerns from online? Questions, comments, concerns? Any objection to moving this to consent? Hearing none, it will be moved, and we'll move on to item number 12, which I'm very excited about.
All right. Item 12 is our character education programming grant. This grant is to support the identified schools in implementing the Leader in Me character education programming within their schools. This total grant is not to exceed $1,596,090.
Any questions, comments, concerns from anyone?
Love to hear your perspective.
Well, listen, I'm just excited. This is really starting to catch on like wildfire. You're going to hear more about this in the coming months. There's some exciting things that are happening with Leader in Me. And we were talking about this over breakfast, Mr. Sweeney and Mr. Roy and I were, about how it just kind of dovetails nicely with the PBIS and character ed building. And it's working in schools, and that's why you see these new schools that are buying into it. And the initial model was trying to have an impact on multiple schools in the neighborhoods, and now it's a little more broad. It casts a wider net. So I'm excited to see. And what I was the most adamant about was I wanted to see. I didn't want it to just be the large systems in metro areas, and you're starting to see it go out into more rural and suburban districts, and you're going to see it expand more. So I'm really excited about it.
One of the things that I think we all hear about in the workplace today is the absence of soft skills. And one of the things that the Leader in Me program does a phenomenal job with, it's instilling soft skills. And when we had our state board meeting in Macon last year, and you visited this school where they've had the Leader in Me program for, how many years now?
That school's had it for 6 or 7 years, and they're a lighthouse school.
Yeah.
It changes the climate.
Yeah.
Culture is completely different when they do that.
To say that, I think every board member was just incredibly touched by, the soft skills demonstrated by every student that we encountered there. It really, really was remarkable. I mean, the simple things about, excuse me, coming up and looking you in the eye and shaking your hand and asking your name and those types of things. And that's just one element of it. Just a phenomenal program.
It is. I mean, this one dovetail from our conversation, Jesse, because this is, I'll admit it, I was wrong when we were discussing PBIS. When I say I was wrong, I was like, my PBIS was a switch, going and picking it for myself. But we were just talking about this, and Helen, she's online, she pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and it's become the data shows it works. And Jason was talking about this morning, his wife and the counselor and the kids and how they react to the PBIS, because so many of these kids, and I get guilty of this sometimes, our children we're fortunate at this table, our children have those role models in the house and the grandparents. A lot of these kids don't have that. And these programs are what are introducing them to this is how you act, this is how you interact, this is how you interact with other people when there's conflict, this is how you do. And I'm really happy to see this, because it does. We're making a difference in those kids' lives.
And the staff, it changes. They're also motivated, and they feel that positive incentive every day to come to work and do their best, because they're getting a quicker return.
It does, it changes, Kenneth, you hit it on the nail on the head, it changes the culture and climate in the school.
Especially when you've had it with over 5 years, it changes. I got to be a speaker at a school that was just beginning it, and you know they were just learning, you know, the tenets. But when we walked into with the state board experience, and you could tell, and leaders were already in the room, like the kindergartners were leaders. It's the culture of the school. So.
It also impacts the home too, because the parents, when they see the change in the students through this program in the school, it also draws the parents in, because when we would visit the school in Macon, that's what one of the parents said. She said seeing the change in her child caused her to come in and be activated and be involved in what was going on in the school. So it helps parental involvement.
I think from the teacher perspective, I just want to say thank you to our commitment to educating the whole child, to making sure that our students have what they need to be successful in school and in life. And my school is not a Leader in Me school, but the elementary school that feeds my school is. And so those students walk into my classroom with the skills they need to be confident and doing classroom presentations, or even just giving tours to maybe business professionals who visit our schools. So I've definitely been a recipient of students who've gone through this program. I just want to thank you for prioritizing the needs of the whole child.
Any further comments, questions, concerns? Ms. Rice?
Jason, I want to give a shout out to you for bringing Leader in Me to our board. And then the follow-up that we all had, the experience when we went in Athens to go to see a school. We saw it in Macon, to see a school, and they are continuing to follow up with us. There is communication with Leader in Me in our districts, which all starts as a small ripple in a pond, but now it's a big ripple. So just a kudos to everyone who has embraced this too, because PBIS, along with this, along with other things, Whole Child, it's all in the fabric of what makes things work for kids. So appreciate that.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions, concerns? If there's no objection, we'll move this to consent, and we'll move on to number 13.
All right, item 13 and 14 kind of go together, but item 13 is our FY25 USDA Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. This is for the period of July 2024 through September of 2024. The purpose of this grant is to provide funds to schools to operate the USDA Fresh Fruits and Vegetable throughout the school year. The grant amount for this item is not to exceed $865,000.
All right. Any questions regarding number 13? Comments, concerns, anything from online? All right. If there's no objection, that'll be moved to consent, and then number 14.
All right, item 14 is also our FY25 USDA Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program grant. This is for the period of October 2024 through June of 2025. The purpose of this grant is to provide funds to schools to operate their USDA fresh fruits and vegetables throughout the school year. And this grant is not to exceed $5,147,162.
Questions, comments, concerns here, online? If there's no objection, this will be moved to consent as well. Item 15.
Item 15 is a contract renewal for Voices for Georgia's Children. This contract renewal is needed to provide ongoing administration of a competitive grant process for the American Rescue Plan, summer enrichment, and after-school program funds. The contract amount is not to exceed $467,500.
Questions, comments, concerns here? Anyone online? If there's no objection, we'll move that to consent as well. Number 16.
Item 16 is our FY25 RESA supplemental funding. The purpose of this item is to provide funding to RESAs for school improvement specialists, Georgia Connect specialists, mathematics mentors, English language arts specialists, school climate specialists, wraparound specialists, and growing readers. The total funding amount is not to exceed $17,971,833.
Any questions, comments, concerns here? Online, any questions, comments, concerns? Ms. Rice, I see you leaning toward the screen. Do you have a comment?
Well, I see it's under Stephanie Johnson, and is Stephanie online? Because when this goes to the funding goes to the RESA, and did the RESA hire still hire the people there, Stephanie?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear
Okay,
Helen?
and yes, I can. So, and are they free to, how does that work? Do y'all collaborate together of how you're gonna spend this money on those different, areas?
Yes, ma'am. We actually have all of this written in ESSA plan, actually, and in the continuous improvement team work. And we work collaboratively with our RESAs. So we, all the positions that Russ just mentioned, they just all work to support schools that are federally identified. So that's where all of that money will go, and they do hire their own people.
Okay, all right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Figured you did.
Any follow-up questions, comments, concerns? If there's no objection, this will get moved to consent. And number 17.
Item 17 is our FY25 Title I Part A 103 School Improvement Structured Literacy Support Coach Grant. Purpose of this grant is to provide funding for a structured literacy support coach position to support the implementation of the expectations outlined in the Georgia Early Literacy Act for each comprehensive support and improvement elementary school. The total funding amount is not to exceed $7,804,200.
Questions, comments, concerns? Anyone here? Online, any questions, comments, concerns? If there's no objection, this will be moved to consent. And number 18.
Item 18 is a contract. The vendor is TBD. This is for a walk-in freezer for the Atlanta Area School for the Deaf. The total contract amount and vendor will be shared during executive session.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Ms. Kim?
I'm glad to see this. It's been a long time coming because they've had problem after problem after problem. And to keep repairing the freezer rather than replacing it has cost more than it should have. So I'm glad
Get
to
a
see
new
this
one.
come.
Yeah, more efficient too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Any follow-up questions, comments, concerns? Anyone online? Without objection, this will move to consent agenda. And number 19.
Number 19 is a contract amendment with the College Board Advanced Placement. The purpose of this contract amendment is to increase the payment to cover the additional AP exams taken by eligible students in May of 2024. The amendment amount is $1,311,635, which brings the total contract amount not to exceed $5,045,765.
Questions, comments, concerns regarding this? Anyone online? All right, if there's no objection, this will move to consent. And number 20.
All right, number 20 is a contract amendment for Common Good Learning. The purpose of this contract is to create an assessment question bank comprised of retired test items from past Georgia Milestones exams. The amount of the amendment is $280,000, which brings the total contract amount not to exceed $529,000.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Anyone online? If there's no objection, this will move to consent agenda as well. Number 21.
Number 21 is a contract renewal with Genius SIS. The purpose of this contract renewal with Genius is to provide for a student information system for the Georgia virtual schools. The total contract is not to exceed $365,000.
Questions, comments, concerns? From here, anyone online? Any questions, comments, concerns? If there's no objection, this will be moved to consent agenda. Number 22.
Number 22 is a contract renewal with our learning management system Instructure. Purpose of this contract is to provide hosting and support for students enrolled in the Georgia Virtual Schools Teacher Facilitated Course and the Georgia Credit Recovery Module-based courses. The total contract is not to exceed $961,036.
Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this item? Anyone online? Questions, comments, concerns? There's no objection. This will be moved to consent agenda. Number 23.
Number 23 is a contract renewal with Dell Microsoft United Support Services. The purpose of this contract is to support the agency's data modernization initiative efforts and ongoing operations of our information systems. The total contract is not to exceed $310,000.
Questions, comments, concerns? Anyone here? Anyone online? There's no objection. This will be moved to consent agenda. Number 24.
Number 24 is our FY '24 School-Based Health Centers Renovation Grants. These grant funds, in alignment with the Governor's School-Based Health Center Initiative and support, will provide renovation and infrastructure funds for our 4 new school-based health centers in Emmanuel County, Rabun County, Trutland County, and Walker County schools. The total grant amount is not to exceed $1,232,000.
Questions, comments, concerns?
I wanted to just say I'm glad to see that this is expanding from what it originally was, because it was a little it was in areas obviously that had needs-based for healthcare, but were in more areas where more healthcare was available. And we're starting to see getting into counties where we do actually have real problems with getting kids access to healthcare. So I'm glad to see this expansion.
This is one of the counties is, I don't see Mr. Donaldson on here. He's at a conference today, but this is one of his home county.
Yep.
I know he would speak up if he were here, but.
Yeah. Raven.
I am here.
You are. There you are.
I'm listening very quietly. Yes, Emmanuel and Trutland are both in my district, so I'm very glad to see it.
There you are. Any further comments, questions, concerns? If there's no objection, this will move to the consent as well. Number 25.
All right, number 25 is our FY '24 School-Based Health Center Startup Grant. This grant will provide startup funds to support the opening of school-based health centers in 9 local education agencies in alignment with the Governor's School-Based Health Center Initiative. This grant amount is not to exceed $8,184,000.
Questions, comments, concerns? Anyone online? There's no objection. This will, I'm sorry.
The amount you quoted, is that?
What was the amount you quoted? Because we've got $7,502,000.
Oh, let me double check that.
Is there an additional system that we're missing? It looks like the allocation amounts are kind of a multiple of 682.
Yeah, I've got 8 million. We can double check that number.
Okay, read off the systems.
This is Mary Lauren from Office of Whole Child Supports.
Yes, ma'am.
Rusk, we made a last minute change. We had an LEA decide to drop out of the process. And so that the number that the board members have, the 7,502,000, is correct.
Thank you, Ms. Mary. Who dropped out, if you don't mind?
Lumpkin County,
Okay.
I believe they have potentially had a change in superintendent and decided to not continue on with the project. They did, however, open a center already using our funds within the last year or two. So this would have been a second center in Lumpkin County.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
Absolutely.
Any further questions, comments, concerns from here online? There's no objection. This will be moved to consent. And we'll go to 26, which is our 50 to 250 contracts. Anything jump out, Russ, that we need to?
I think they're all pretty standard items.
Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns about item 26, the 50 to 250 contracts? Online? There's no objection. This will be moved to consent agenda. Number 27, we've got the under 250 grants and grant amendments. Russ, again, anything jump out here?
No, we've got the first 2 are we're receiving money, and then the last one is grant amendment.
Any questions, comments, concerns here? Anyone online? There's no objection. This will be moved to consent agenda. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the business of the Budget Committee. We have items 1 through 27, which the entirety of the budget agenda can be moved to consent. That concludes our business.
Thank you.
And I hope I did Matt Donaldson proud, because he usually has very quick and efficient budget committee meetings.
Well, and you've added 1,000 on consent
There we
agenda
go.
items, and that'll put you in the Hall of Fame.
Awesome.
He did a great job.
Thank you, Matt.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Matt.
all right, I will now entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing personnel, student discipline, and potential litigation.
So moved.
We have a motion by Zoller, second.
We have a point of clarification. on that, we also are discussing contract matters, correct? We have a contract issue that we need to discuss as
That's
well.
right, and contract.
Okay.
So I'll amend my motion to include contracts. But I have a motion by Zoller, second. Second by Kennamore, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are going to recess until 1 PM. Good afternoon. I will entertain a motion for the board to approve an exit from executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Downey, second by Petty. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We are now moving ahead to District Flexibility and Charter Schools Committee, and I'll turn it over to Chairman Swaney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We have 5 items, and I want to just suggest that we take item number 1 last. So if we could move to number 2 on the agenda. Ms. Taylor.
Sure. Item number 2 on the agenda is a request to renew the charter for Houston College and Career Academy. Houston College and Career Academy is seeking a renewal of its charter contract. The College and Career Academy completed its Technical College System of Georgia external review and certification process in March 2023 and had its charter petition approved by the Houston County Board of Education on December 4th, 2023. During its next charter term, Houston College and Career Academy will focus its efforts on cybersecurity and fire science pathways and on meaningful workplace learning opportunities leveraged through strong community partners. On March 15, 2024, the Charter Advisory Committee voted unanimously to recommend Houston College and Career Academy for a 5-year renewal of their contract. If approved, the Academy's new contract, will begin on July 1st, 2024, and expire on June 30th, 2029.
And I believe we have Dr. Sherry Johnson, the CEO from Houston College and Career Academy online. Is that correct?
Yes, Dr. Sherry Johnson should be online.
I believe she's muted. Dr. Johnson, we can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. We would love to hear about your school and share a few comments with us if you could.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, we would love to hear about your school and a few comments from you with regard to the petition.
Well, we would like to be approved. Our goal for this coming up year is adding cybersecurity, and we are also adding advanced math and AP physics to our campus. And also we're looking forward to having fire science added next year. We've in cooperation with all our chiefs of the fire department in Houston County, working toward the goal of providing a workforce for their need in our county. And we're about preparing our students to be workforce ready.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Does anybody have any questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move this to the consent agenda for tomorrow's meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, item number 2, Ms. Taylor.
The next item, William S. Hutchings College and Career Academy is seeking a renewal of its charter contract. The Academy completed its Technical College System of Georgia external review and certification process in February of 2023 and had its charter petition approved by the Bibb County Board of Education on April 15th, 2024. During its next charter term, William S. Hutchings College and Career Academy will focus its efforts on offering students 3 CTAE courses within 1 year with an embedded academic course, utilizing an industry salary schedule to recruit and retain industry instructors, and partnering with surrounding school systems. On May 31st, 2024, the Charter Advisory Committee voted unanimously to recommend William S. Hutchings College and Career Academy for a 5-year renewal of their contract. If approved, William S. Hutchings College and Career Academy's new contract would begin July 1st, 2024, and expire on June 30th, 2029.
I believe we have Dr. Cassandra Washington, the CEO,
Yes.
online. Dr. Washington, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Fantastic. Please share some comments about your school with us for the board, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, sir, thank you so much. Well, William S. Hutchings College and Career Academy, we actually partner with several of our surrounding counties, Monroe County, Georgia Academy for the Blind, and Twiggs County, as well as some homeschool students. This gives us an opportunity to make sure that we are really focusing not only on a community workforce, but also a regional workforce. we've actually had 20 students from Georgia Academy of the Blind to obtain certifications and are working in our community. So we really pride ourselves also on completing a pathway in 1 year with trimesters, and we offer the embedded credit. So students from our home schools actually give us 3 periods and we give them 4 credits back to ensure that they're able to be For Me ready.
All right, thank you for that cooperation with the other systems. That's amazing. Does anybody have any questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move this to the consent agenda, and we'll move. Thank you very much, Dr. Washington.
Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, sir.
Item 2, did we move that to the consent agenda?
Yes.
We did?
Yes. We're going to move on to item number 4. It's the charter renewal for Amana Academy.
Yes. Amana Academy, a local charter school in Fulton County, is seeking a renewal of its charter contract. The Fulton County Board of Education approved Amana's charter petition on January 18, 2024. Amana Academy, which serves approximately 862 students in kindergarten through grade 8, includes as its essential features whole school implementation of the Expeditionary Learning Education Platform and continued implementation of its STEM program as one of the first STEM certified schools in the state. On April 12, 2024, the Charter Advisory Committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of Amana's contract for a 5-year term. So if approved, the new contract would begin July 1st, 2024, and expire on June 30th, 2029.
All right, and I believe in person we have Mr. Jalil, the Executive Director, and Ms. Cooper Gatewood, the Fulton County Charter Liaison.
That is correct.
Can they come up? Mr. Jalil, thank you very much for being here. We'd love to hear from you and hear about your school.
Well, it's a pleasure, board members, to be here. I recall being here back in 2004 during our first charter petition, and this is going to be our fifth charter term. It's a pleasure for us to be serving Fulton County School students. We have become over time a Title I school and one of the highest performing Title I schools in the Fulton County School District. We are a STEM certified school, an EL education credentialed school, and we feel like it's incredibly important for us to support the technology ecosystem that is present in the North Fulton area in particular, although we do serve students from South Fulton as well. 10% of our students come all the way from South Fulton. Our focus for the next charter term is going to be around partnerships. In particular, this past year, we partnered with Fiserv. It's a fintech company. They offered us a 12-week STEM program that our 5th grade through 8th grade students were participating in. We also have a really robust partnership with Fulton's new Innovation Academy, as their design thinking approach is very similar to our expeditionary learning approach. The other thing that's happened over the course of our charter terms is that we have replicated our school. We now operate a school in Cobb County as well through the State Charter Commission, and we will be, in this coming fall, serving over 1,000 students across both schools.
Congratulations. All right.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Without objection, we'll move this to the consent agenda for tomorrow's meeting. Then we have item number 5. It's a charter renewal for Skyview High School.
Skyview High School, a grades 9 through 12 local charter school in Fulton County, is seeking a renewal of its charter contract. The Fulton County Board of Education approved Skyview's charter petition on January 18, 2024. Skyview will implement a blended learning model and provide comprehensive wraparound services to help students overcome obstacles to academic success and re-engage successfully in their high school education. Skyview High School serves approximately 500 students in grades 9 through 12. On April 12, 2024, the Charter Advisory Committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of Skyview High School for a 4-year term. If approved, Skyview's new contract would begin on July 1st, 2024, and expire on June 30th, 2028.
Fantastic. All right, and I believe we have Mr. Greg Clay, the board chair, Ms. Shelley Leger, the principal. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ledger, okay. And also, as stated earlier, Ms. Andrea Cooper Gatewood, the Fulton County Charter Liaison. Mr. Clay, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for your time today. My name is Greg Clay. I serve as not just the chairman of the board for Skyview High School down in South Fulton County, but I was also a founding member of the board. It's been a passion of mine to serve this particular population, and I'm honored to serve and represent our board here today. Our school is one that, while it's an alternative to the other South Fulton schools, we're really a partner with the schools when it comes to students that might be on their second or third chance. I'm reminded of just a month ago, we graduated our largest high school class of 88 students, and there wasn't a dry eye in the building because of the story and the persistence, and the dedication of these students and these families. And so we're honored to be here today. We're honored to be going through this process for the second time. This will be after our initial approval. This is our third time. And so I'm excited to answer any questions. Again, we're joined here by Principal Ledger, who is doing a phenomenal job as our third practitioner that's been leading the school through all of these seasons of our growth and graduation and things of that nature. And so I'll pause here and take any questions if you have any, or yield to Principal Ledger if you want her to say a few words as well.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you for being here. I've had an opportunity to come out and to see the school and talk to the students and hear about some of their personal obstacles that they've had to overcome in order for them to get a high school education. So when you said that there was not a dry eye, I understand, because I sat there and I listened to them. I'm like, oh my, but they still want to get their education up under their belt so that they will have a lasting opportunity for their children coming forward. So I'm just happy to see that everything is starting to progress more, and that you are here, and that the young people, kids, who some of them have children of their own,
Yes, ma'am.
Are progressing and being able to assess the education that is available.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I too visited the school, and it was a wonderful opportunity, and like Ms. Kenmore said, listening to the students' stories, how they got there, where they're going when they leave there. So if you haven't had an opportunity to visit sometime, I would say make time to stop and visit them.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Mr. Clay, thank you very much. And without objection, we'll move this to the consent agenda for tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
All right. I know there will be some discussion regarding this item. This is item number 1 for the District Flexibility and Charter Schools Committee, discussing the strategic waiver school system contracts.
Yes.
Taylor?
Local education agencies in the attachments are requesting to continue operating as strategic waiver school systems. Each of these LEAs, named in the accompanying documents, are seeking to enter into a new strategic waiver contract with the State Board of Education. As authorized by the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, sections 20-2-80 through 20-2-84.6, each LEA is requesting increased flexibility by identifying waivers that will support its work in improving student achievement. If approved, each system's new strategic waiver contract will begin on July 1st, 2024, and expire on June 30th, 2030, except for 3 systems, which will receive a 1-year contract due to academic performance. These 3 systems will work closely with the department's school improvement team to ensure implementation of strategies and resources to improve student performance. Additionally, 5 systems that were identified as high risk by the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts have also received a notice of concern informing them of the potential for probation or early termination of their strategic waiver contract if they fail to complete all of the Senate Bill 68 corrective action requirements.
Fantastic. Mr. Rowe?
I really have a 2-part question. One is on process, and then some particular schools on this. I guess I'll start with the schools first, because it may highlight part of the process through that. That may answer my one of my questions through this. I see the 3 schools on here. There's only 3 districts that got the 1 year. One of them's jumping out at me because I'm frankly shocked to see it on there and have some questions. Bibb County is only getting a 1 year. What precipitated that? And I guess what are they asking for in their waiver? Do you know what Bibb County in their strategic waiver is asking for specifically?
So they asked for several items in their waivers that's included online, but the reason for the systems that are receiving the one-year contract recommendation is due to the significant increase of federally identified schools in the latest iteration of the list. So Bibb County had 30%, and 30% of its schools added to the latest list of CSI schools.
That's because, I mean, that's a huge increase for Bibb County, isn't it?
It is a significant increase, yes.
Because how many, do you know how many Bibb, did I see the Bibb County superintendent? Well, I don't know if he was available to ask any questions or not. I thought I saw him up there.
Dr. Sims?
Yes, sir, I'm on.
Okay. Hey, Dr. Sims, thanks for joining us today. What percentage increase is that, you know, of your schools that have made the list? On it says it's a 30% increase. What percentage of your 30% increase of the schools? Do you know what percentage of the schools now are on the schools, the failing list?
I'd have to pull that list. I don't have it readily in my head. But we have discussed that as a team. I don't know if Dr. Lloyd Rogers is on, who may have that readily available.
You don't know that number off the top of your head?
Not right now. I don't have the number right off the top of my head, the specific number. I just need to pull a document. Let's see if I can find it.
I would think that'd be a key performance indicator, but no, that's a whole nother issue. Because what do you know what waivers you're asking for in this in your 1 year?
There were a few in our application. Again, I would need to pull that so I can give you accurate information. Let me see if I can locate it.
It's in there. It's on page. I mean, it's like page 4.
Page 81.
81.
Just search for.
This is. We've got a huge. All the schools are in one document on our information. So it's.
Page 81.
Okay. It's.
It'll take me a moment to pull that out. I was actually on only for the charter renewal. Wasn't aware that this was going to be discussed.
No,
that wasn't given to me.
No, I'll say, in fairness, I don't want you to feel ambushed on here, but I mean, I just will say I find it concerning that don't know that information as superintendent off the top of the head. I'm just being 1,000% honest.
No, I appreciate respectfully. I just don't have the exact number. I don't want to give you inaccurate information. That's the only reason I'm not taking a shot in the dark as it relates to a number. But we have had, we discussed our new federal identified schools at our January board meeting. And that's what I'm looking for. We went extensively through that list. And I recall detailed information being shared both with me and the board.
Well, I guess this gets into just Bibb County. This is kind of where the second question was. You know, traditionally waivers are granted for performance and increased performance, and it's making a contract to do better. Obviously, we have. I mean, this. I'm trying to just being honest. Obviously, Bibb County has been going backwards as far as these metrics go, and I was just wondering what are they promising to do to even get the 1 year waiver on it, because it's about. This system is supposed to be about waivers of rules in exchange for academic progress and performance. And accountability, well, progress and that comes with, that's the accountability that comes with it for increased performance. And I was just wondering what that was, and the superintendent doesn't know off the top of his head what that is. So that's why I was really, I mean, the Bibb County, and Jason, I may be jumping in front of you on this, and it's your district, but I've just seen so many great things come out of Bibb County over the years, and this is.
But Mike, can I remind you
Sure.
of your earlier statement is process?
Yes.
What is the process? The complete renewal process. So that information, as you say, is urgent information that we're building towards these performance goals and getting the support we need. It's reciprocal, right?
Yes.
That's what the terms are laid out like.
Yeah. And that gets to my overall question, I guess, in this process. We've gone through with the state, we've got 100 and
there's
130 here. What was our process, DOH's process in going through? I know it's hard. This is, Dr. Taylor, this is a lot. We're going through this, but what was our internal process at going through and recommending these for the waivers?
Yes, so as we shared at last month's meeting, we began this process with first initial webinars and information to get all of the systems up to speed. We then held office hours with them to help them understand their strategic waiver contracting process that we were taking them through. They also, once they began working on their requests for waivers, they then went through their waivers. We held office hours. We met with them, some of them one-on-one. We met with some of them in groups as they kind of talked through what their waiver requests may be or questions that they may have about some of the waivers that they were thinking about. They were able to share some of the waiver ideas with us. We gave them feedback, and then they submitted them after they had gotten them approved by their local Board of Education.
I've found it, Superintendent, in your paperwork, program flexibility.
Right, and we have 11 of our schools.
Yeah, in remedial education, that's concerning. You're asking for flexibility and the percentage of your full-time equivalent population in that you're eligible for services, and your language proficient programs. So some of our most sensitive kids and graduation requirements, alternative education program, competencies and core curriculum, promotion and retention. These are some pretty significant areas for, Kenneth, you could probably articulate way better. We've been at this together a long time, what I'm thinking and putting it in school, but these are significant areas of student achievement measures and things that are going to be waived. And it is,
For something like remedial education that you bring up as a waiver, it's important to note that systems are asking to waive remedial education. What they're asking to do is to waive the cap that is provided for remedial education to be able to serve more students, that may be more than 25% of the students that they're allowed to serve, knowing that they're not getting additional funding for that, that they will have to figure out the funding for that piece. So what they're asking for is if they can serve more students through the remedial education model without the additional funding. So that is a part of a strategy for improvement for a lot of systems.
No, thank you for clarifying that for me.
I want to bring something up here too, because with a one-year charter, so this basically would be effective on July 1.
Yes, that is correct.
So by June 30th of next year, that's kind of our deadline to evaluate where they are. But all of the schools, I'm reasonably confident that all of the schools seek classroom size waivers.
Mm-hmm. That's one in their contract.
I know, but imagine the financial impact if that waiver goes away, and what it's going to mean from a budgeting standpoint. So we're going to have to take a look at this early, probably like I'm saying February, maybe next year, at the latest, to kind of evaluate, because if there's any semblance that we're not going to review or approve waivers for them, they need an adequate window for their budgeting process, which might necessitate a millage rate increase.
So you're talking about if they're, in this case, of a one-year waiver?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm just making sure I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, because I mean, when you're establishing the budget, generally
Sure.
at the district level, they're doing preliminary work in the fall months, and then they're gonna do preliminary presentations to their boards in the February timeframe. But when you're talking about personnel in classrooms and having to dedicate more personnel in each one of these classrooms, that is a huge, huge, huge financial hit if those classroom waivers are not provided, or the classroom size waiver. So that's something to keep in the back of our minds, because let's say, for example, we rejected this right now. If we rejected this, I mean, they're scrambling because they're not going to be able to operate with a classroom size waiver. And their budget hearings have already taken place. The hearings, the notices, the publishing, and everything. So, you know, the timing of the review on any of these that are in that 1-year window is going to be hypercritical for us.
Yeah.
There's only 3 of them.
Yeah.
And I just want to add that the school list came out in January. So they got that mid-year. Bibb County and other districts got that list mid-year. And then what we're trying to do with this is give them a little runway to demonstrate, work with Stephanie's team and school improvement. They're gonna develop a plan, a district plan, a school plan. And to your point, Scott, bring them back next year, earlier on in the school year, and get a status update on how that plan's going. Are you seeing progress? And I think Tiffany pointed out a good point on these waivers, and you did too, Scott, is with class size, they might use that waiver to increase the class sizes in electives while lowering the class size and say ELA and math as an improvement strategy. So, you know, these have fiscal issues that you speak of, but they also have school improvement strategies. And I think what we want to know about 6 months from now are, okay, are those strategies working or not? And we don't only want to hear that from a district like Bibb, but we want to hear that from our school improvement team who is serving that county as well. And I think that's, from a year from now, that's where the board's gonna get a full picture of the progress of the plan and be able to deliberate whether they deserve maximum flexibility, narrow flexibility. But I think that gives us time to have a more thoughtful discussion and decision-making. To be fair to Bibb, they just got this list in January, which you're thinking what happens at the school level, February, March, they're into testing. So it's not a long runway, and then they're already setting up for the next school year. So I think, you know, that's the intent of this 1 year, and I think Mike will agree. I can only think of one other district we've given a 1-year extension on. I think the 1-year extension is good. I think it can do what it did for that one district in Southwest Georgia, which is we gave them a year, and then we were good after that. We gave them the full term after that year.
Yeah, they did a good job. Great. Thanks for that perspective, Matt, on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight again Tiffany's point about the support along the way, the webinars, the office hours. Once they submit the request, there's dialogue there. So we're just making sure that, you just rattled off several opportunities for engagement, but it's, again, the school within that time window is gonna have to decide when to take advantage of those opportunities, and some do and some don't do it as well as others, and maybe an earlier review process helps just, give some ground for that.
And I know another added feature that the board needs to be aware of, and I know Mike's been a champion, is not only academic issues, but financial fiscal control issues, which is new to this process, is sending a probation letter to schools that, Department of Audits have flagged for issues. Now we have a mechanism built in that we didn't have before, to not wait until they come up for full renewal, but to take some action proactively, which I think Mike would probably agree is a positive step as well in this process that we hadn't used in the past.
I know this has been a tremendous amount of work for staff to do to put all this together, and a lot of work has gone into this whole list and doing this, and it does concern, and I think 1 year for Bibb being one of the only ones to get a 1 year in this case is accurate. And Matt, again, thanks for the perspective and Scott on that. And we obviously need to move forward with this, but I do find it very concerning that a district like Bibb has had the results that they've had, and by bringing this out and doing it, it sheds light on those issues, and we can hopefully move forward in a positive way to make sure these kids are getting the education they deserve.
Right, anybody else have any questions or comments? Ellen?
I do have some questions, and I'm agreeing in this. I think this shows a lot of work, as everyone has said, in doing this.
It's a better process.
Template. It is a process. What I would like to see, and it's not at any fault of Bibb, I would like to see when we do class size or expenditures or certification requirements or salaries, and then we put it in this template. And I know, my district had to call for some help, and I mentioned that, Tiffany, because it came down so quickly, and they needed to know how to manage the waivers. And I'm sure every district felt that way. It was a lot. But when we put waivers into this, we're saying you're saying, I'm going to get flexibility from these waivers for some type of performance. And I think that's what I'm looking to see exactly the waivers there, the flexibilities there. Now, in that waiver, how does that performance drive out? Is it 1% of your students in X area will increase their scores on milestones by what are we doing? 1%, 3%? I think we've got this waiver thing down great. I'm not sure we have got exactly everything that we need on the end that says that shows your academic your performance targets. Exactly. You're taking a group and you're decreasing the size, so you're going to improve that course study in that group by 3% in math, or 3% in the academics of ELA. That's what a performance target does. And that is not anything against these districts. I think this is an enormous amount of work. And I think we have these waivers and they're dealing with it. I've seen it here. Everybody's dealing with how these waivers are going to affect me. I think one thing, Tiffany, we might be missing, and Matt, I don't know if this is what you're talking about in a year of helping the schools, but helping them work out how they take this waiver and move that waiver into how their performance targets are going to be, so that they can start seeing their growth. Where's their graduation rate? How did that improve different things on the CCRPI score? That's my only thing. And it all looks like that we all have this template. Now, in this, I didn't see their plan from last year. I didn't see, because when we asked before, I said, are we resetting the strategic waiver plan? Maybe it would help if we saw what their plan was before and how they have redirected it, because that's an enormous amount of work, and everybody wants the same results for their kids to have some flexibility so that they can make improvements in their performance.
I can add some things to that. So I would say first, Helen, you probably remember this, and Lisa and Mike does too, is with the first round, it was difficult to parse out what actually districts were waiving.
Yeah.
The template